I'm Bridget van Kraligen. I run IBM's Global Services Division, Global Business Services, which is all over the world, and it basically does consulting, application management, and business process outsourcing for our clients. It's about 120,000 people. And it's, professionals who go into consulting and help clients with their business models, their core solutions, and their applications and running their business. When we look at the world and we look at Africa's place in the world, and we look at statistics that tell us how much IT is going to grow as a market, and we also know that IT helps markets develop and economies evolve. And one of the things that drives the growth of IT is basically population growth. Africa is going to have the highest level of population growth in the world over the next 10 to 15 years. And there's a statistic going around that, more than 50% of the world's population growth will actually come from Africa, right? As well as that, an unprecedented level of urbanization. And all of that will put pressure on industries that IBM can really help to serve. So our areas of strength are areas like telco, banking, health and government services, retailers, and all of these industries, when you see large population growth and large urbanization, tend to expand very, very rapidly. So our view is that we can really help the countries and continents and industries of Africa by bringing to bear our knowledge and expertise in those industries, which is both the business models, business solutions, applications and software, as well as the infrastructure on which they run. We're very focused on South Africa. Kenya and Nigeria are very strong priorities for us in the continent of Africa. We've historically had a very large presence in Egypt, and also a burgeoning presence in Morocco. So I would say those are the key areas for our large investments. And typically what we do is we focus on bringing in the capability to serve our clients, so sales and consultants and so on, but also what we try and do is put in labs or innovation centers or delivery centers. So as an example, last year when we were here when Kenya, we announced our Kenya Research Lab, where we're bringing research into Africa. We'll do the innovation lab here in Lagos, which will be a lot around industry solutions and how we innovate together with our clients. In Morocco, for Global Business Services last year, I opened what we call a delivery center, which is where we bring staff together to deliver for a large number of our clients. And in South Africa, we have software labs, we have a research center, and we have innovation centers. So we have a lot of those skills. So what we're able to do is link then with the local economies at universities, schools, and try and create a vibrancy of skills and investment, as well as just simply serving our clients. So that's the way we go about it. For most of them, growth, right? Growth is the key, and profitable growth, right? For most clients, is the key thing they're focused on. And so what that tends to amount to for many of them is in this part of the world, that is around how to create a stable infrastructure and reliable platform for growth. So if you think about the banks in Nigeria trying to bring more inclusion on retail banking, a lot of that is around creating the right infrastructure for payments, for the reliability of ATM machines so that they actually work 24/7. Is there any potential for creation of mobile money or mobile wallet versus having to carry lots of cash? Nigeria has very high levels of cash, right, because of the lack of digital payments, right? So questions of growth around providing the basic infrastructure to grow after. I think the second question I see is quite a lot around innovating business models, right? So if you look at Kenya, for instance, I think Kenya's been a world leader with M-Pesa, which Judy talked about a little earlier. M-Pesa really is the world's, in my view, first and only, not just industrial strength mobile money, but in fact 40% of Kenya's gross domestic product goes through M-Pesa, right? So it's it's a dominant force. So I think, that is what you would call a completely innovative business model that for the world is innovative, not just for Africa. So I think the second thing we see is a real focus on could I take the resources of Africa, this particular aspects of Africa, and become truly innovative with my business model. And then the third area I think is cross-border. How to grow and expand Pan-Africa or through regions of Africa, and again that goes a lot to what markets are picked, what offerings and what infrastructure is in place, as well as working to make sure that regulatory or individual country needs are catered for. So I do see quite a large push on going, Pan-African or parts of Africa. And then the fourth thing that I think is interesting, and my industry is financial services, so I see it a lot, is because there's such foreign interest in Africa, is being the firm that is the most attractive to investors in Africa, or businesses coming to Africa, right, or African businesses going to other regions, whether it's the US, Europe, China, Asia, being able to position yourself as a firm that can both pick up entrants, right, and also help export incumbents in Africa to other places. And I think that's a very interesting positioning because there's just so much interest in Africa currently. We deeply believe that this technology-savvy skills are absolutely key to the future. So we have a huge investment around the world and a lot of vested interest in growing technology skills and technology experimentation. And so it is a continuation of this thought that the world will have an unmet, massive demand for technology and math skills. And we believe a lot of that is learning by doing, learning by exposure. So we have a commitment to that kind of open learning because we believe that, a lot of jobs, I mean, the millions of open jobs there are in the US for technologists that can't be filled. And if we can create that appetite and open that up, it'll lift the world. The way to think about Africa is that it's one of the regions of the world amongst a handful, and I mean really little, literally, 3-4 fingers on a handful, that we expect the highest growth, both short-term but very definitely long-term. It's a long-term investment for us. It's not something that we'll move in or out of. We've been very steadily but exponentially increasing our investment. What we call our ecosystem, our connections to the community, our clients, academic institutions, governments, and so on. And it is a region we look to for a very high growth rate. We do work with the Boston Children's Hospital with Watson. I actually had the CEO last week at an event with me. We spoke together, and we have a thing called Open Pediatrics we do with them, and it's essentially we've created using Watson an online capability that any pediatric hospital in the world can sign up on, and they've used it to put all the best practices, treatment pathways, demonstrate procedures. So they have people signed up in Africa and China and Japan and so on, who are part of this network of sharing, and they can basically take the best learning in pediatrics and use it. And they can query and ask questions, and Watson will answer them and so on. So it's almost like this massive teaching aid, right, that's just going to up the standard. And that's what I think is so exciting. It can take the skill level of someone in the 80th percentile and have someone in the 30th percentile operate to that level. So, when you go back to what Jenny announced with Watson in Africa, I mean, part of it is going to be how we can actually help with the skills, right, as well as, specific questions like you raise. It won't just be specific, on cervical cancer, and it will be broader questions too. So it's quite interesting. The one I think is obviously transport, congestion and so on. And we have done a huge amount of work around the world on traffic congestion, traffic patterns, using predictive analytics and optimization and mobile phones and tweeting and so on to manage traffic. And in fact, we run whole city systems such as Stockholm in terms of traffic patterns, right? So I think that's one key area. The second is this concept you talked about of smarter cities, where in fact we work with a number of cities where we help them on managing not just traffic, but how do I go about, maintenance and asset management? How do I go about physical safety and security? How do I ensure that I have citizen transparency? And this whole concept of, almost like what we're talking about, a modern corporation looking, a city looking like that. And we've done 100 such projects around the world. So I think we've actually just done one with the city of Cape Town. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for smarter cities. And since there's going to be such massive urbanization, all African cities are going to be faced with this question of how do I scale much faster? How do I get housing, transport, jobs, health, social services? So I think helping with the whole design of smarter cities is very key. And then thirdly, we do believe that, education will become more and more open and online. And, obviously over time will help with that.